Have you ever heard of the fastest railroad line in the United States? Maybe you've heard the word high speed. If that caught your attention, today from a new series of railroad routes, I will be discussing the Northeast Corridor. With that out of the way, let's get started. Chapter 1: History. The Northeast Corridor was built by several railroads from the 1830s. Before 1900, their routes were combined as two large railroads, the Pennsylvania Railroad and the New Haven Railroad. From 1903 to 1917, these railroads did a number of projects that connected their lines and completed what is now the Northeast Corridor. These projects included the New York Tunnel Extension in New Jersey, the New York Connecting Railroad, and the Hellgate Bridge. When the Penn Central Railroad was created, the whole corridor was taken over by a single organization for the first time. When Penn Central's bankruptcy happened, most of the corridor was taken over and created by Amtrak. In December 1967, the UAC Triple Train set a speed record of 170 miles per hour between New Brunswick and Trenton, New Jersey. In February 1968, the Pennsylvania Railroad merged with its competitor, the New York Central Railroad, to form Penn Central. In 1971, Amtrak began operations and several state governments took control of parts of the NEC for the commuter rail services. In January of 1971, the state of Massachusetts purchased the Attleboro to Stoughton line. It was then operated by the MBTA. In the same month, the New York State Metropolitan Transportation Authority, also known as the MTA, bought the New Haven line between Woodlawn, Bronx, New York, and New Haven, Connecticut. In February 1975, the preliminary system plan for Conrail suggested to stop running freight trains on the NEC between Groton, Connecticut, and Hillsgrove, Rhode Island, but this suggestion was rejected by the U.S. Railway Association. In the 1990s, Amtrak improved the NEC north of New Haven, Connecticut to get it ready for the high-speed Acela Express trains. Service with electric locomotives between New Haven and Boston began on January 31st, 2000. The project took 4 years and cost close to $2.3 billion, $1.3 billion for the infrastructure improvements, and close to $1 billion for both the new Acela train sets and the Bombardier Alstom HHP-8 locomotives. On December 11, 2000, Amtrak began operating its Acela Express service. In August of 2011, the United States Department of Transportation attempted a $450 million to a 6-year project to support capacity increases on one of the busiest parts of the NEC, a 24-mile section between New Brunswick and Trenton, passing through Princeton Junction. The next generation high-speed project is designed to upgrade electrical power, signal systems, and overhead catenary wires to improve reliability and increase speeds up to 160 miles per hour, and after the purchase of new equipment, up to 186 miles per hour. In September 2012, speed tests were managed using the Acela train sets, setting a speed of 165 miles per hour. The improvements were scheduled to be completed in 2016, but due to delays, the project had not been completed until 2020. Chapter 2: Infrastructure. At just over 453 miles, the Northeast Corridor is the longest electrified rail corridor in the United States. Currently, the corridor uses 3 catenary systems. From Washington, D.C. to Sunnyside Yard, just east of the New York Penn Station, Amtrak's 25 Hz traction power system supplies 12 kV at 25 Hz. From Sunnyside to Mill River, just east of New Haven Station, the former New Haven Railroad's system, since modified by Metro North, supplies 12.5 kV at 60 Hz. From Mill River to Boston, the much newer 60 Hz traction power system supplies 25 kV at 60 Hz. All of Amtrak's electric locomotives can switch between these systems. In addition to catenary, the East River tunnels have 750-volt DC third rail for Long Island Railroad trains, and the North River tunnels have third rail for emergency only. In September 2013, one of two feeder lines supplying power to the New Haven line failed, while the other feeder was disabled for service. The lack of electrical power disrupted trains on Amtrak and Metro-North Railroad, which share the segment in New York State. Chapter 3. Commuter Rail Services. On the Northeast Corridor, there are several commuter rail operations that are operated every day. The Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority, also known as the MBTA, is a commuter rail operated in Massachusetts and in some parts of Rhode Island. The lines they run on the NEC are the Providence-Stoughton line, running from Boston to Wickford Junction in Rhode Island, the Franklin line running from Boston to Reedville, the Needham line running from Boston to Forest Hills, and the Framingham-Worcester line running from Boston to Back Bay. CT Rail is a commuter rail operated in Connecticut. The lines they run on the NEC are the Hartford line, running from New Haven Union Station to New Haven State Street, and the Shoreline East route, running from Stamford to New London, Connecticut. Metro-North Railroad, another commuter rail operated in Connecticut, operates electric multiple M8 units. The lines they run on the NEC are the New Haven line, running from New Haven to New York, and the Waterbury branch, which splits off the NEC, running from Bridgeport to Stratford. The Long Island Railroad, also known as LIRR, is a commuter rail that operates in Long Island, New York. The line they operate on the NEC is the City Terminal Zone, which isn't really a line. It runs from Sunnyside Yard to New York. New Jersey Transit, also known as NJT, is a commuter rail that operates in its namesake state of New Jersey. The lines they operate on the NEC are the North Jersey Coastline, running from Rahway, New Jersey to New York. The Morristown line connects the Morris and Essex counties to New York City. The Gladstone branch runs from Gladstone Station to New York Penn Station. The Montclair to Boonton line runs from the Kearny connection in Kearny, New Jersey to New York. The Raritan Valley line runs from the Hunter connection to New York, and the Atlantic City line runs from 30th Street Station to Frankfort Junction. The Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, also known as SEPTA, is a commuter rail that operates in Pennsylvania. The lines they operate on the NEC are the Trenton line from Philadelphia to Trenton, New Jersey. The Airport line is from 30th Street Station to Southwest Philadelphia. The Media Elwyn line is from 30th Street Station to Arsenal Junction. The Chestnut Hill West line is from 30th Street Station to North Philadelphia Station. And the Wilmington Newark line is from Newark, Delaware to Philadelphia. Now that we have talked about the commuter rail services, let's talk about the future of the Northeast Corridor. Chapter 4. The Future. In October 2010, Amtrak announced a vision for high-speed rail on the Northeast Corridor, a project for high-speed rail tracks between Washington, D.C. and Boston. The project was predicted to cost $117 billion. It would allow speeds up to 220 miles per hour, decreasing travel time from New York to Washington to 96 minutes, and from Boston to New York in 84 minutes. In 2012, the Federal Railroad Administration began developing a master plan for bringing high-speed rail to the Northeast Corridor. On July 12, 2017, the Federal Railroad Administration revealed the record of decision for the project. In February 2011, Amtrak announced plans for the Gateway project between Newark Penn Station and New York Penn Station. The planned project would create a high-speed alignment across the New Jersey Meadowlands and under the Hudson River, including the replacement of the Portal Bridge. For more information about the Gateway program, click the video in the top right corner. On August 26, 2016, Vice President Joe Biden announced a $2.4 billion federal loan package to pay for new Acela equipment, as well as upgrades to the NEC. The loans will finance 28 train sets that will replace the existing fleet. The trains are being built by Alstom in Hornell and Rochester, New York. Passenger service using the new trains is expected to start in 2023, and the current fleet was expected to be retired by the end of 2022, or when all the replacements have been delivered. Amtrak will pay off the loans from increased NEC passenger revenue. For more information about the Avila Liberty train sets, click the video in the top right corner. Chapter 5. Conclusion. The Northeast Corridor has gotten the funding to modernize their corridor to improve the trains and to make the corridor an efficient way to travel in the northeastern part of the United States. The future is bright for the Northeast Corridor and will be successful in the coming years when high-speed rail is implemented. When the Avila Liberty plans to enter service, the Northeast Corridor still remains as the busiest route in the United States to this day.